Imagínense un presidente que dice que puede hacer lo que quiera sin rendir cuentas a nadie. Suena preocupante, ¿cierto? Exactamente es lo que Donald Trump está insinuando en sus declaraciones recientes. Y ojo que no solo es él. También algunas figuras claves en su círculo están promoviendo esta narrativa peligrosa para la democracia. Sean bienvenidos a Políticamente en Desacuerdo. Amigos, hoy vamos a analizar qué es lo que está pasando, cómo el senador Dick Durbin ha arremetido contra Trump, contra J.D. Vance, contra Elon Musk, y nos ha dicho lo siguiente: son un peligro para la Constitución. Recientemente, Donald Trump publicó en sus redes sociales un mensaje que ha generado muchísima controversia. Quien salva a su país no está violando ninguna ley. Como si eso no fuese suficiente, su vicepresidente, J.D. Vance, ha dicho que los jueces no pueden controlar el poder ejecutivo. Y por si fuera poco, Elon Musk se unió a esta fiesta pidiendo la destitución de jueces que le molestan. Amigos, no estamos hablando de una teoría de conspiración, ojo. Hablamos de hechos reales, cosas que pueden poner en jaque la separación de poderes. Quiero que me acompañen a ver cómo el senador Dick Durbin nos ha demostrado lo peligroso que puede ser este círculo de multimillonarios contra la Constitución de los Estados Unidos. Veamos este clip.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Chairman Grassley. I'm going to make an opening statement on a different topic and then speak to the pending legislation. On Monday, President Trump posted a social media quote. He said, "He who saves his country does not violate any law." In another social media post, Vice President Vance falsely claimed judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. When he's not blocking life-saving funding that Congress has authorized, Elon Musk, the eminent screes of MAGA, has also been posting threatening messages about judges for his 218 million followers. Musk has repeatedly called for impeachment of federal judges, and he recently tweeted, and I quote, "The notion of having a judge job for life, no matter how bad the judgments, is ridiculous." These claims by the President, the Vice President, Elon Musk, are not amusing. They are a danger to our Constitution. The Trump administration's unlawful actions, from mass layoffs of civil servants to blocking funds Congress appropriated, pose a serious threat to our constitutional order and the separation of powers. Since the landmark case of Marbury versus Madison, decided in 1803, there's been a broad bipartisan consensus that, in the words of Chief Justice Marshall, it is emphatically the province and duty of the Judicial Department to say what the law is. The Trump administration's serial violations of the law are not only a challenge to the judicial branch, they also challenge us, Congress, the Article I branch, in ways we have never seen before. Under Article I of the Constitution, it's our responsibility to write the laws. And under Article II, it's the executive branch's responsibility to take care of the laws be faithfully executed. No one can seriously claim that President Trump is taking care to faithfully execute the law. Let me give you one example. Last month, President Trump summarily fired 18 inspector generals. A law authored by our chairman clearly stated, and I quote, "The President shall communicate to Congress in writing 30 days before removing an Inspector General the, quote, substantive rationale, including detailed and case-specific reasons for the removal." President Trump violated this law. More than 3 weeks ago, Chairman Grassley and I sent the President a letter asking for a lawfully required rationale. We are still waiting for a response. We are also witnessing an unprecedented assault on the Department of Justice. Dozens of career officials, not political appointees, career officials at the Justice Department and the FBI have been fired. And thousands of additional FBI personnel have been targeted simply for doing what they were assigned to do, investigate the January 6th attack on the Capitol and now they're being investigated for that. At the same time, Trump political appointees are already weaponizing the Justice Department's vast law enforcement resources for nakedly partisan reasons. Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove, one of our former defense attorneys of President Trump, serving in senior Justice Department roles, ordered the dismissal of the prosecution of the New York City Mayor Eric Adams in exchange for the mayor's cooperation with the Trump immigration agenda. In response, several attorneys resigned, including the acting U.S. attorney, a staunch Federalist Society conservative who had clerked for Justice Scalia, appointed by President Trump, stood her ground and refused to agree. My Democratic colleagues on the committee and I have requested an Inspector General investigation of this sordid incident, underscoring the danger of a weaponized Department of Justice under the new administration. The prospect of an FBI director who is an unprincipled loyalist of the president and untethered from the rule of law heightens that danger. Today, the Senate will vote on Kash Patel's confirmation. It is an opportunity for the Senate to fulfill its constitutional duty and preserve the rule of law. Mr. Patel's record demonstrates he's a dangerous political operative who would not serve as should not serve as the next FBI director. Mr. Patel has been crystal clear that he plans to use the FBI's vast surveillance and investigative authority to, quote, come after, close quote, the president's enemies. I hope I am wrong, but I believe that my Republican colleagues will quickly come to regret any support for Mr. Patel. FBI agents have come to us privately as whistleblowers and told us the terrible decline in morale at the FBI. This is the first presidential transition with such a purge, and it certainly has had its impact on these men and women who have dedicated their lives to our safety. I suspect the time will come soon when we'll all fully appreciate the importance of a legislature and a judiciary independent of the executive. Now on the bill before us. In just a decade, fentanyl has emerged as the deadliest drug in American history. All it takes is 2 milligrams, fraction of the size of a penny, to cause an overdose. There is an overdose crisis in the United States, but we've learned that evidence-based solutions reduce deaths. In fact, in 2023, overdose deaths actually decreased for the first time since 2018 by 10%, more than 10%. We need to look at every factor that contributed to this reduction: counseling and treatment, training for first responders, naloxone, and other things. I appreciate the hard work of the sponsors of this bill we're considering. We all agree that the Halt Fentanyl Act will not by itself keep our communities safe. Our law enforcement agencies are on the front line of the fight to protect Americans, and there are other things we have learned. Just the other day, we had a testimony of Mr. Pizarro, I hope I pronounced his name correctly, from New Jersey, who's on our panel, who talked about the incidence of fentanyl and where it came from. We did a little research after some of his statements. The National Crime Prevention Council estimates that 80% of teen and young adult fentanyl poisoning can be traced to social media. Your heartbreaking witnesses this morning, mothers and parents who've lost a kid being a teenager, 80% of the time likely attributable to social media, which means, in my mind, that we ought to consider that as part of the solution to reducing fentanyl use. Politically motivated purges of senior law enforcement at DOJ and the FBI diminishes our ability to hold traffickers accountable and cut off the supply of fentanyl. So we need to make sure that this remains a priority in terms of our activity and funding. Getting fentanyl off the streets is a Herculean task that will require us all to put politics aside and across the aisle work to make this a bipartisan effort. I yield.
Yeah, thank you.